Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is part of my Haley2024 The Movement's government reform ideas. This one's going to be on taking all of welfare, government welfare, and switching to a charity system. So you need to know a lot about my Haley2024 The Movement, some of my ideas. I'm going to give you an overview real quick. But first I want to let you know why we're going away from the current welfare system. I'm not going to get into it a lot because this video is about the switch to the charity system. But I think it's important to let you at least know why we're going to this. I'm going to do two quick clips, video clips of why we're moving away from the system. So let me go right to this, and we'll turn my head and hit this.
As a former welfare mother, very few people want to be on welfare. Very few want to walk with their kids and take food stamps in there. Most people would rather work. Now, I don't feel bad about being a welfare mother because I contribute as an American. That's what we do. And because the welfare system is so bizarre, you can't work. They don't allow you to work because they take the money from you. So if we fix the system so that it doesn't hurt the people, maybe it'll get better. Thank you, Dr. Ben Carter.
So I want you to focus in on the structure of the system. What did she say? They don't allow you to work. What does that mean? They keep you in the system. I'm going to play another quick video. This one's a little bit farther back in time from Free to Choose, Milton Friedman's Free to Choose. It's just a very small clip. And it is.
I don't believe in something for nothing anyway.
I think a lot of people are capable of working and are willing to work. But it's just the way it's set up. The mother and the children are better off if the husband isn't working or if the husband isn't there. And this breaks up so many poor families.
Now, let me go back to this screen and, okay. I just want to let you know that that's from the 1980s, maybe the 1970s. I forget exactly when that was done, but good 30, 40 years ago, probably 40 years ago, by Milton Friedman, Walter Williams, and the like. And they were getting to the structure of the system. They don't allow the father to work and still get the benefits. The mother's better off if the father's not in the home. It breaks up so many poor families. Now, I know there was a lot of African Americans in this. This is not about African Americans versus whites. There's a greater percentage of African Americans in the system. It has done more harm to them. The biggest harm the welfare system has done is increase the number of out-of-wedlock births and children growing up without a father in the home. That is the biggest effect of the welfare system, and it is creating a lot of problems. Not to mention when you group a whole bunch of people without a father in the home, then you literally have thousands of families in a close proximity with a very low, a lot of times below 10% of fathers in the home. When you have that many adolescent teenage girls and teenage boys without a lot of good father figures, you run into a lot of problems. That's where gangs come in. That's where a lot of problems arise. You need a good, strong father figure and father authority. The mother needs that. They need examples of a good husband and wife relationship, so that can be shown to them, taught to them. And the best way to be taught is not in a classroom, but from examples in your own family or your own community, within your aunts and uncles and your grandparents and the like. So that is the biggest problem, is creating a lot more single parent households. A lot of times, mostly that is single mother households, and children not having that good husband-wife relationship to be able to model that and go into the future and do that themselves. They learn that you grow up to be a single parent, to be an absent father or whatever, and not provide for your family. That is taught from not academics, but that is taught from example. So we're going to go through a charity system. There's a lot more to get into on why we should change, but we should change. Okay, here, this is going to be the change. We're going to go to a full charity system. Let's go down because I have a lot of slides. I don't want this to be 2 hours long. It's probably going to be 45 minutes to an hour as it is. So I'm going to try to go through the slides quickly so I don't miss any of the major issues going on here. So I'm going to change the foundations of government, how we're going to do that. We're going to first separate all government power into 30 sectors. We're talking top level, distinct, top level, elected representative leadership per sector. We're going to go over the 30 sectors real quick. No one person can be in a position of official authority in more than one sector and more than one level, which means federal, state, and local. Again, there's 30 sectors. And they cannot be in more than the legislative, executive, or judicial. They can be in one of those. And they have to be in the CRA side or the rating system side. Now, I haven't described those yet. Let's get into that. But you see how we split the government power up tremendously. So right now, there's a lot of people who are in charge of all 30 sectors. We're split that up. We also split it up between the rating system side and the competitive regulatory side. Let's get into what that is. Hopefully you already know some of that from the other videos and on my website. And we all split it up between federal, state, and local. So we have different groups competing with each other, doing a lot of checks and balances. So the basic structure. You see 4 across here. You can't see that well here on the screen, but you can go onto my website and look at it. We're going to describe it in other slides in a second. But you got 4 here, one of them saying 27 different sectors, but this is just hierarchy. The parent sector board has only the authority of organizational and a little bit of authority we give them, but not really a regulatory authority. The sector board level is the representative level. Not too much will go there, 10 to 20, maybe 30% depending on how you want to measure authority. But most of it's going to be at the CRA level. We'll discuss that in a second right now. So CRAs only control their members. So you have members, RAs, rating agencies only control their members. Very important to understand that. Here are the 30 sectors. We're not going to go over all this right now, but you do have 5 in the charity system, 5 in the foreign protection system. Foreign protection system is the military, the commander-in-chief, the diplomats, and the like. We'll go over that in a different video, or it's all on my website, easy to see. You have the violent crime mitigation system, you have the law enforcement, you have the courts, you have the prisons, and the like. You have 5 in that one. Then you have 15 other ones, from healthcare to financial to insurance to food, transportation, education, manufacturing, environmental regulations, the human resources, the labor law, the transportation, the media and the communication, land and water. We separate all government power. Again, distinct elected leadership. And this is at the federal level, state level, and local level. Each one has its own responsibility depending on the level of authority. The 5 in the foreign protection system has primary authority at the federal level. The other 25 will have primary authority at the state level, and there'll be a way to shift up a little bit to the federal level where it's needed, and a lot down to the local level depending on what sector you're looking at. So let's go over it. You see each sector and every level of government. Some sectors will have a lot of authority at the state level, not so much at the federal or the local. Other sectors will have a lot more at the local level, and some will have a lot at the federal level, hardly any at the others. Again, those 5 at the federal level. Anyway, so these CRAs are full governmental systems: legislative, executive, and judicial. Very important to understand that. These are full governmental systems. The CRA, competitive regulatory agencies, are going to be called competitive governing agencies, and also competitive representative agencies. They do 3 things. They send people to, they regulate, they govern, and they send people up to the next level, to their representative level, called the sector board. And if you're on the rating system side, it's called the rating system. That's the sector board for the rating system. But the RAs, the rating agencies themselves, are full governmental systems too. I'll explain to you on another video why that is. But it's important that you know that. Let's go over here. These are the 3 in the charity system. Charities, charitable distribution associations, the funding mechanism. We'll go over how that works in a minute. I have a lot of slides on that. Then accessory organizations, that's the case manager. So you see how many different organizations we have in the hierarchy. I'll explain that hierarchy more in a little bit, but let me just go over it real quick. You pick your CRA, your competitive regulatory agencies, your competitive governing agencies. And then, I'll get into it, I'm going to jump ahead of myself. but you pick them and then they govern you. And you pick the leaders within each group, within each CRA, you pick the leadership of your CRA, your governing agency, or your CDA. CRAs are going to be called different things in different sectors. CDA, Charitable Distribution Association, the funding mechanism. And the caseworkers, the assessor organization, is going to be called AOs. Just to get some simple language going in. Okay, the charity system also has family law and religion in it. Now, they're not officially part of it, but because they are so involved in helping the poor, family is always the first line of helping the poor, they're going to work closely with that sector. But family law is just flat out family law. Religion is simply to fight for religious liberty and to for organizational purposes. Some people don't want religion at all. They can go totally a secular, or they can go a mild religion where religion just helps inform a little bit and it's just mildly in there. Other people want significant religion involvement in these areas. That's why we have about roughly 12. And you pick the one that you want to go with. And they're going to have to work with each other. And that's going to be checks and balances. So, other sectors that are going to be largely affected by this is the healthcare system, the insurance system, human resources, which is labor law and sales, and then identity, which deals with ownership and citizenship. These are going to affect this a lot within this. There's only 5 of them. We have 30 altogether, so you see 10 right there. All of them are going to be involved in the charity system, but these are more involved. Competitive regulatory agencies, like I said before, they're full governmental systems. They regulate, they govern, and they send representatives up. The current government at all 3 levels will not control or be part of the charity system nor help the poor. It's very, very important to know that we do not allow the current government, we do a total transition. The current government will go away after the transition. We do a very responsible transition. But we do not want to have an overarching government over top of everything trying to help the poor, because it will undermine what the charities are trying to do, what the assessor organization is trying to do. We need them to stay out of it. It is wrong to have a monopoly of helping the poor. This also means within the tax law, we do not do tax exemptions, deductions, or credits. All those undermine what we're trying to do with the charity system. If the charity system wants to give you credits, wants to deduct some and try to go with the tax system and try to do that, they can. That's why it's competitive governing agencies, because a lot of people want to do different things. So we don't have an overarching rules about giving people credits, tax exemptions, tax deductions. Very important that you understand my logic. I have a full page within my tax system about why it's bad to have tax deductions, exemptions, and credits already. So that's already a bad thing. But if somebody likes it, they can go with their taxing system and they can create that and they can organize that. I think it's a bad idea. And I think when you have a competitive nature, people will see that it's a bad idea, because bad ideas in a competitive system always shakes out and goes away. The better systems arise. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, the 5 sectors dealing with the charity system divides the responsibilities and the authorities. So it's so important to know that we divide the authorities and the responsibilities. We already went over the 5 that's in there, but this slide's about dividing them up and how important that is. And maybe you don't understand it now, maybe you'll understand it at the end of the video. And everybody must select a governing agency. I'm not sure I'm on that slide, I think I'm on the wrong slide. Every sector is made up of roughly a dozen competitive regulatory agencies. We kind of went over that, but it's important that you understand that this is a we have a dozen to choose from. So there's a lot of different philosophies of how to help the poor, how to fund the poor, how to fund charities, how to do caseworking, how to do family law, how to do everything. There's so many different varieties, and that's why we split it up into 30 sectors, and then within each sector you have 12 different ways of doing each sector. Here's my must slide. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Every person must become a member of a CRA per sector. So all 30 sectors, all levels of government on the rating system side and the CRA side. There's 180 associations, but that's not a problem. There's a way to very easily take care of that. It's on another slide, but we're going to have organizational groups as a very simple solution where it organizes all of them in one big grouping. Whether you want to go with the conservative, let's say the Heritage Foundation side, or maybe the Brookings Institute side for more the liberal people on the left, they can group big groups: Republican Party, Democrat Party, Green Party, Libertarian Party. They all have big groupings to help organize these. And you can just say, I want to go with all Libertarian, I can go all Green Party, I can go all Democrat, Republican, Heritage Foundation, Brookings Institute. These are probably going to be the 6 or 7 big ones, and then they're all, you never know what happened when you have free enterprise within the regulatory governing systems. But the must means that everybody has to be governed in each categories. Some categories, it's not going to affect you hardly at all. It's going to be very, very minimal. But it's important that you're involved in every one of them. But even though some will be very little, but still for the system, you need to be involved. And for representation. CRAs only govern their members. That's highly important. My neighbor down the street, my neighbor across the street, my neighbor 10 doors down, they all have their own governing system. They govern them. They elect their members. They elect their leadership within theirs. So I don't help elect my neighbor's leadership unless they're within the same CRA. So it's very important that you know that we group people together and then they elect their leadership and they only govern their members. Okay. All sectors have a rating system. We haven't talked about the rating system much, but we'll get into that a little bit. But we're going to have every every sector will have its own rating system. So the ratings will give high quality information, and they're going to be very focused in on this, just the authorities and the responsibilities of that rating system, how they're doing. Everybody has access to everybody's rating system, rating agency's information. So it's very important that you're going to have a lot of knowledge. People are going to be competing on what rating agency to trust. And again, there's a lot of rating agencies. You're going to be with 90 of them, 30 per level of government. But there's going to be ways to organize that, the organizational groups. Okay, but that's going to be high quality information from a lot of different perspectives. Okay, 10 representative bodies have a very focused set of responsibilities, authorities, and interests. I just said it, but it's very good to say it again in a little bit different way. The 10 would be the 5 CRAs and the 5 rating systems, all having their own very focused responsibilities and interests and authorities. That's why we split the government power into 30 sectors, and then within each sector, 2 different systems, representative systems. So they can focus on what they need to focus on and not have conflicts of interest so much. The conflicts of interest will be checks and balances within the system. It's very good that they'll work together. Yes, we want them to work together, but officially they have to be separate authorities so they can check each other's overreach. Okay, let's keep on going. The charity sector will provide assistance. They are the charities. They need to focus in on being productive and efficient. And we'll get into another slide, so I don't want to jump the gun right now. But the charity sector will provide assistance. The Charitable Distribution Association, they're the funding mechanism. I'm going to explain that in another slide down the line a little bit of how they get that funding to distribute in the first place. The assessor organizations are the case workers. Again, there's very important reasons why we want to separate that out. And we want high respect for these case workers because they need to be some of the most wise among us. And sometimes being a little bit authoritative in helping somebody. If somebody's going down the wrong path, they have the ability to say, no, I'm not going to help you unless you get your act right. You stop taking drugs. You stop being lazy. You stop doing some of the stuff. They're going to be able to put people to work without pay, as long as they're giving them help. There's a lot to get into on that. I know people don't like hearing we're going to put somebody to work without pay. No, they voluntarily come to the assessor organizations and say, I need help. We want to help them. Part of the economy is you give work into the system and you get benefits out of the system. So if you want to go to the charity and says, I'm hungry, I need shelter, I need food, I need education for my children, I need whatever, I need medical care, they might put you to work. They might give you that stuff and then put you to work to help put labor hours into the system, and that's going to give more assistance to the poor because they're going to be mostly helping the poor. So you go there, you're poor, you're asking for assistance, your neighbor's asking for assistance, and you might be helping them, they might be helping you. There's a lot of ways to do it. We'll discuss that. Going down a rabbit trail right now. Okay, caseworkers have the discretion, discernment, and can use subjective determination. That is what's wrong with the current system. They don't have this. They do not have the ability to have discretion. They're not able to use discernment, and they cannot use this subjective determination. Government officials currently, because it's a monopoly, they have to have hard, fast rules, government legalistic rules. If somebody can be doing, it can be enabling people into a destructive lifestyle now. It can entrap people, like you saw in those two videos. They felt entrapped into the current system. You couldn't get out. That is what is wrong with the current system. So we want to get rid of that. Okay, I think this video is going to be quite long, probably an hour. I'm going to try to speed through. The family law sector will always be the first line of help in assistance when people are need help. We want family bonds to be strong. Assessor organizations should kind of force the subject a little bit. You're asking people for help. Where's your family? Can your family help first? What can you do within your family? And if your family is dysfunctional, abusive, or whatever, group more than one, group 4 or 5 people in that same situation where they don't have family at all, or the family is abusive, group them together and say, you're going to help each other out. Group together people within the same neighborhood or close proximity, so travel's not an issue. They can do each other's child care. They can do each other's transportation. They can do each other's a lot of different things. They can be family. They can group families and create a family within the system. Obviously, there's a lot to get into on that. Let's keep on going. The religion sector will capitalize on the greatest motivation of caring for the least of these. Religion is, and religious motivation is one of the biggest motivations to help the poor. It always has been, it always will be. We've gotten away from that when we went to government because government cannot use religion in helping the poor. So that is the huge problem we have. After 1965, after 1920s, when we started having this great society, that was 1965 or so, Lyndon Johnson, or at least 1960s, middle of 1960s. We started having the problem of we're taking religion out of it. Religion had to take a big step back, and they're trying to fill in a little bit of gaps here and there. They cannot use they cannot say no because people can keep on getting government assistance because they met their qualifications, and they can be entrapped. You cannot have religion really play a big role when government's doing it. Anyway, I'm not going to get into a lot of that because that's a big rabbit hole. I'll go here for 3 hours if I did that. Okay, a dozen agencies per representative body will compete. The key word in this whole phrase in this slide is compete for every citizen's membership, thus their trust, by having the best result as defined by each citizen. Every citizen is going to have a wildly different idea of how you should get there and what the endpoint should be. Where do you want to get to? Rush Limbaugh is famous for talking about conservatives want to have as many people out of the welfare system and able to be on their own, and liberals have a thought pattern of how many people can we help. Two different thought patterns of where we want to be. I know there's a lot to each one of those. I'm not going to dig into it right now, but there's different thoughts on where the end point is and how to get there. And that's why we have competitive systems, both on the CRA side and the rating system side, how the people look at it. You trust the people that you want to trust, and they get more authority in the rating system or the CRA. They get more money, more funding, because you put your trust, your funds, your volunteer hours with the system that you want, that you think is doing the best. And that's going to weed out a lot of bad systems because they're going to not be funded. They're going to see the bad ratings. They're going to see the bad results. And the good systems are going to be flourishing because people are going to see the good results, and people are going to shift the money over to the ones that are doing better. That's why we have competitive. That's what's wrong with the monopoly system now, because people don't have a way of switching over to a different system. It's a monopoly. That's why we don't create a monopoly, especially government monopoly with politician control. There's so many conflicts of interest that really create a whole big system of problems. Okay, we just talked about this a little bit. The rating, 60 rating agencies, 5 systems, with a roughly 12 rating agencies. It's going to give high quality information from a lot of different perspectives and from a lot of different points of view on dealing with funding, to actual assistance, to the caseworkers, the family law, and the religion. All of them are going to be giving by their perspective what's their authorities and responsibilities, and then within their perspective within that group, within that sector. So a lot of high quality information competing with each other, and these rating agencies have a duty, a responsibility, a mandate, if you will, to really put their work out there and have debates and answer questions from the other ones. There's a lot to it. I'm not sure how much we're going to go into on that, where they have a mandate to debate, mandate to answer each other's questions, to put up their system versus another system. There's a lot to get into on that. We'll let them worry about that. This is just a structure I'm creating. They're going to have to figure out a lot within each sector. I'm not doing all that. I don't say this is how it's going to be. This is the overall structure I'm trying to create. Okay, that is multiplied by local, state, and federal. So federal is going to have probably very little authority in this, but you want to shove a little bit up there, maybe 10%. A lot's going to be in the local. Hopefully 60 to 70% is going to be in the local, where the state's going to have maybe 20, 30, 40%. Depends on the state, depending on the local. Even when you have local, you can have all the localities join together, their CRAs, because each CRA, every city's going, every current government is going to have their own full system. But if you have a small town of 10,000 people, you're going to be joining together with all of the other towns. It's totally separate legal entities, but you're going to get the experience from all the other local ones. They're going to be able to join together, coordinate, use resources and personnel from all of them. As long as they agree to it, they can do that. There's going to be different CRAs within the same sector that's going to join together for productive and efficiency points of view. Okay, let's keep on going. On my site, on my website, you see all the different layouts. This is not for you to read it here, but this is to show you have a lot of bullet points and explanations on my websites, and a good write-up on each one of these points. So you know that I really thought these things through, and you can go to my website and look at those. Okay, funding through CDAs. CDAs are the main funding organizations. Every person 13 and over picks which CDA to fund. That's going to get, why do we start with 13? We start with 13 is because they need to become an adult sooner than 18. Now, family law, You can have different family laws where this is going to be changing a little bit, but they start taking on some responsibility. We do stair steps. We don't just put all the responsibility once you hit 18. During your teenage years, you have a lot of opportunity to start helping. So starting at age 13, I want to get into it a lot, but we're going to make this video too long. I'll get into a little bit in a minute. Which the fund required 5% of your income. So you have to donate 5% of your income. Their target is $1 trillion across the whole country. Off a $20 trillion GDP, we're looking at 5% of that, so $1 trillion. I think that's going to be appropriate. We probably go farther than we currently do right now, but because of the system, it's going to be a lot more productive, efficient, getting people out of the system a lot faster. People are going to be competing to get people out of the welfare system, out of the charity system, into a productive lifestyle where you're independent, interdependence, because that's what free enterprise is. It's not independence, it is interdependence. Okay, let's keep on going. You have a minimum donation of $1,500. So while we do 5%, if somebody has no income, you still do $1,500. How do you do that if you don't have any income? Let's say you don't have a job. You do donate charity hours. You can donate money, or you can donate inside the charity systems. Now, $1,500 is only 3 hours a week at a $10 pace, $10 an hour pace. So I know we don't do exactly 10 hours. A doctor can donate 1 hour a week easily on this system and meet that $1,500. And yes, we want doctors to put hours in to this system versus dollars, because what do you need for charities? You need medical care. You need doctors. There's a lot to get into on that. We're going to get into a little bit on some slides going down in a minute. But let's talk about 13, 14, 15-year-olds real quick. At these times, they're probably going to be matched up with your education, with your school. We're going to a very free enterprise school system, very private school system. That's a whole another video, but we're going there. We should. Okay. Within your school, whether it's public school system that will have partially private schools, whatever. Within that, you're going to be having 13, 14, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds doing 2 or 3 hours, and mostly they're going to be doing training to get more productive and efficient at helping the poor. So, girls and guys will learn how to be a nurse's aide. It doesn't take that much, but you probably can give 100 hours, 30 weeks at 3 hours a week. And I know that's 90 hours, but a little bit more. Okay. They're going to build train how to be a nurse's aide, how to do other stuff. You might have people trained to help the poor in other ways. You might put somebody on a landscaping crew so you can mow the grass in the poor neighborhoods of the elderly, so we can keep the elderly in their own house and have a better quality of life in their own house by having these teenagers go in, clean the house, mow the grass, fix up the place. The teenagers can go with their parents or other groups to do team building and teamwork on helping the poor. There's a lot to get into it, but charities, they have a lot to do. The poor have a lot of needs. Having a team of teenagers grouped up and teamed up with the older groups that are going to be a lot more efficient as they do a training / work, apprenticeship type of things, you're going to gain a lot of skills. Boy, did I go down a rabbit hole and waste a couple of minutes there, but it's very important stuff. Okay, many companies will allow their employees to work 5% more hours without extra pay. So this is kind of a different business model, a different philosophy of how to do it. So instead of just taking your doing a 5% donation, you work 5% more hours. So what is 5%? Let's say you work 50 hours and you do an extra, what is that, 2.5 hours per week. But if you do it within your business already has a mechanism to be very productive and efficient in what they do. So who do they give that But who do they give that services to? Depends on the business. If you're a hospital, that's obvious. You give it to helping the poor. If you are a landscaper, maybe you're mowing the grass of the hospital. Maybe you're mowing the grass and doing landscaping of the people who are doctors and nurses and people given extra hours. And that's what the economy does. You put hours in over here and you get services over there. They keep track of that. The charity economy will do that. I haven't got to the charity economy, but we're going to in this video. Okay, money raised in the charity economy. Got to it real quick, didn't I? Revert to the CDA. Sometimes you're just going to flat out earn money and by doing work, whether it's a business or whatever, because the company that does not have a direct relationship to helping the poor. There's a lot that do have a direct relationship, but some don't. All that money goes to the CDA, so they have more money to fund charities. But that's a checks and balance issue because we don't want them to be funding the AOs directly, the assessor organizations directly. There's a lot of checks and balances. I thought about this through, and a lot of other people will think about it through once this idea gets out there, and maybe we'll change a little bit. But from my thinking right now, it reverts back to the CDA, and it needs to be accounted for. So there's no fraud. There's no embezzlement. I can't even say the word now. There's no taking money out when you're not supposed to. Embezzlement. Okay, let's see if I can keep on speaking correctly. Okay, every CDA will contract out with assessor organizations as a case manager for those needing help. AOs, assessor organizations, need to be extremely wise. They need to use subjective determination. They need to use their, again, subjective determination. So important to look at every poor person and say, why are you poor? What can we do to help you? What can we do to get you to be interdependent? And if they can't get all the way interdependent, can they at least get partially? What can we do to bring service? What can we do to have services coming out of you that you're providing into the system so we can give you services? They need to look at every case individually and use their, again, so important, subjective determination. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, CDAs will fund their charities within their philosophy. We talked about that, but we didn't talk about it enough. CDAs are going to have to look at all the areas that need to be covered. They need to look at housing, clothing, food, medical care, education. A lot of different areas need to be covered. So they need to put a part of their budget in each one of these. And then, what is a philosophy of helping the poor? There's a lot of different philosophies. I can't get into it right now. But liberals and conservatives have a tremendously different idea about how to help the poor. So that's why we have a dozen of them, so they can do that. And the CDAs are going to pick different AOs, assessor organizations, the case managers. Okay. AOs are full sector because of a very good reason. They have different responsibilities. We need to have a checks and balances within the system. And we need them to have their own philosophy. And CDAs will pick the ones that they want to work with. So they need to work well with each other. We want that, but they need to be independent of each other, legally independent, so they can have their own philosophy. Now, if their philosophy doesn't match and they're not getting funded, and they're not getting cases by the charities, by the CDAs, by the system, then people are not going to go to them. So there's a lot to get into. But the CDAs fund them. Okay, those that request help must choose a CDA. So if you're poor and you're asking for help, I need medical care, I need food, you have to go to a CDA. CDA assigns you to an AO. There's a lot to it. It might go different with different organizations. Some might go directly to the AO. Some might have to go through the CDA. Some might go directly through the charities first. And hey, what CDA do you get funded by? What AO do you want me to go with? And you go to, there's a system to find all of this out. It'll be all online. There'll be people that can advise you. There'll be AOs that really get people to the best AO. One AO might say, I'm not the best for you. Go to this AO. They have a different philosophy that I think is going to match your beliefs pattern better. I'm very Catholic, and I really want to stay with this Catholic philosophy. And you're a Muslim, and the Muslim philosophy is a little bit different. We really want to stay with our philosophy. Here's one that really works well with Muslims, and you send them over to them. Now, it doesn't have to be just with different religions. It can be just with a different mindset. You're more conservative, you're more liberal, you're more libertarian. What's your mindset? And that might change what AO you choose to go to. There's a lot of choices, and both sides have to choose. It's a all sides choosing agreement that you have to have. The CDA does not have to accept you. The AO or the charity does not have to accept you. Everybody has the right to say no to any association. Nobody has a right to help. People can say no. Now, hopefully that won't happen. If all 12 CDAs say no, all charity AOs say no, all charities say no, you might want to think about changing your attitude. You might want to think about changing your You can't just go in there with a demand, is what I'm saying. You can't just say, I demand help. Nope. Somebody has to accept you. It can be humbling. Okay, the CD, and it should be humbling. If you're going there, you need to be humbled a little bit. You did something wrong. And maybe you didn't do anything wrong. You just fell on hard time. And most CDAs, most AOs are going to see that, hey, you did everything right. You fell on the hard times, and we're going to assist you. We're going to get you work. We're going to get you training. We're going to put you to work within the best we can. But we're not going to let you sleep on the streets. We're not going to let you go hungry. We're not going to let you go without medical care. Okay, this probably, yeah, I'm already seeing that this is going well over an hour. The CDA must assign those seeking help to an assessor organization. Again, I've talked about that, but it's really important to know that there's checks and balances in that. And it can go a different way. I'm not the final say on which one has to go, which one you have to go to first. There's a lot to say. So maybe might go to an AO first, get the buy off on the CDA, that they're within their philosophy of helping the poor. There's a lot to say on that. And again, I'm just trying to set up the overall structure, not micromanage, and that gets into micromanaging a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay. People needing help are free to ask another CDA, thus assessor, for help. We talked about that a little bit, why that might be. Different religion, different philosophies, different ways. I mean, some people will be helped a lot better by this philosophy. Another one would be by another philosophy of helping the poor. Some people, everybody's different. That's why you have different ways of doing it. And again, subjective determination is something I want to say well over 200 times in this video. Okay, assessors are the case managers of those that need help. Talked about that. Working closely with family law CRAs, religion CRAs, and identity CRAs, assessors will look into a person's life to properly assess the best path forward. So AOs are the one that looks into somebody's financial situation. Now, do they have to? No. Sometimes they'll look deeply into the financial situation. It all depends. Again, subjective determination. Some people, and the AOs will be held to a very high level of privacy rights and high level of keeping things secret. So they might be able to look into it, but keep it secret. Are you doing the right stuff? There's so many stories about somebody getting a divorce, so they do not become financially destitute because their wife or their husband is needing long-term care, and they don't want to take their major asset of retirement assets and dwindle that very rapidly on that long-term care, so they get a divorce, and now they are eligible for government assistance. We don't like that. We don't like that at all. I know we're going to go into Social Security, which we get rid of. We transition to a different system. But how many people do not work because Social Security takes away benefits when they earn more money? They have a very small amount of money they're allowed to earn and still get the benefits. If they earn a penny more than that, they start losing those benefits. If that's not true, a lot of people still believe it because I talk to people, they believe it. I don't know all the rules about Social Security, but I do know that your money starts getting dwindled down and pulled back when you start making more money. So people, the elderly, do not work. They cannot better their own lives by putting more labor hours. And better their lives financially, but also better their life by having a sense of purpose of working and serving others. They can volunteer, yes, but if they make money doing it, then the Social Security pulls it back. We don't like that at all. At least I don't. I think it's a very bad idea. Anyway, let's keep on going. We're talking about assessing lives. Again, for the 200th time, a subjective determination. Okay. Often people need help because they made bad life decisions. Not always, but sometimes. Oftentimes they have made bad life decisions. They need a good life coach. AOs, assessor organizations, the caseworkers are going to be good life coaches. Somebody with a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge of saying, I think this is where you went wrong. This is how we need to correct the situation. You cannot be living this destructive lifestyle. We're not going to enable you to continue on this destructive lifestyle. If you want to, we're not helping you. You're free. You have liberty. Hopefully, you don't want to be a bum on the street, but we're not going to help you with a destructive when you're living down a destructive lifestyle. Here's how we can help you, but we want you to get out of that destructive lifestyle, and we're definitely not going to get you in a situation where we entrap you into poverty because we're going to put you to work, train you. Now again, you're not getting paid necessarily. All that money gets transferred back to the CDAs. It gets transferred to other places in exchange for the benefits that you're getting. So a lot of times, and this is a good time to tell you. If you don't want to be assessed and you just want to, you need a helping hand, but you can give enough labor into the charity economy to match what you're getting out, you can just do that. Say, I'm falling on hard times. I can put enough labor hours into the charity economy to match what I need out of it. I need some food. I need a little bit of medical care. Please allow me to do this. And the charity economy says, great. You give enough labor hours in, we'll give you enough services and benefits coming out to match. When we don't have to assess you. So simple as that. But so somebody quickly falling on hard times, a lot of people talk about you're only a paycheck away from being homeless. You're only a paycheck away from losing your house, losing this, losing that, losing your insurance and the whole 9 yards. Well, when that happens, you can go to the charity economy and say, I have labor hours I can give. I'm out of a job. I can work 70 hours a week if you need me to. I just don't want to be hungry. I don't want to be without a house. I don't want to be without this. Anybody with a I'll work for food sign on the side of the road, they should be people that can pick them up, go put them to work very rapidly, and not let labor law get in the way, because when you get rid of the labor law, that dissuades a company from saying, look, come over here, do some work for me. We're going to feed you. We're going to house you. We're going to help you out. But they can't sit there and afford the minimum wage or whatever, because it's not conducive to the business model and the charity model. It's a lot to get into on that, and I just can't do it all right now. Again, going along on this video, I guess I'm halfway through. Let me see if I can go quicker. Assessors can also require work and education to stay within that CDA. They have the ability to put your people to work in a lot of different ways, apprenticeships and whatever else, without necessarily getting paid for it. The benefits, the assistance that they're getting from the charities is the pay, kinda. Now, sometimes you're going to get paid. I have a 40-hour-a-week job, but I can't make ends meet on that. They're going to take that into consideration. They're not taking that money from you. They see what you're doing, and they try to say, hey, work an extra 20 hours on the weekend, work this in the night job, take a shift at the nursing home or on the landscaping crew, whatever, and you're giving services into the system, the charity economy system, and you're going to get benefits out. So I can't make ends meet. You can just do that. with or without an assessor. The assessors are probably going to be organizing that, but they're not going to necessarily have to look deep into your financial situation because they're offering enough services for the benefits that you're getting. So there's a lot of ways to do it. There's too much to get into on that. Again, it reverts back to the CDA. That's the checks and balances issue. Okay, assessor organizations will likely utilize the charity economy for both work and requirements and benefits. That's going to be their main mechanism to get people to help the poor. So if you have 1,000 people, they all need help. The charity economy allows these people to put extra work hours, helping each other. We don't always have to go get work from outside. There's a lot of good labor hours. These people are smart. They're human, which means they have a good human brain. They can think, they can work, they can serve others. It might be working in a garden so people can have food in the neighborhood garden. It might be so many different things. It might just be working on a crew to help bring money, or a crew on a private sector business, and to help bring money into the system to help utilize the full system. There's a lot to get into. And plus, if somebody says, what, if I have to work 40 hours in the charity economy to get this, why don't I just go to get a job? Yes, that's what we want. That's part of it also. So the charity economy is not meant to be long-term, 52 weeks, 100 weeks, 3 or 4 years. That's not what it's meant. Now, it might mean that for somebody who has maybe Down syndrome or a physical disability or mental disability that has a long-term need for assistance, and they place this person has a limited ability to work and provide worth to a company, but they have a lot of good heart and a lot of good work ethic, but they just have limited a way to getting good worth out of them. Put them to work and give them benefits. It's a great thing to do. Right now, there's a lot of labor law, a lot of minimum wage laws that really get in the way of really helping out these people with disabilities. Anyway, rabbit holes. Keep on going down. All these rabbit holes are great, but it's making my video long. Let's see. Requirements and benefits seeking the highest level of interdependency. So some people cannot ever become totally self-sufficient with their number of labor hours. They have a disability enough that they can only give 30%, 50%, even 70 or 80%. They always need extra assistance, and we should. But we need to have, again, 300th time subjective determination. And that's what government cannot do. And that's what government monopoly is horrible at. That's the reason we have to get rid of government welfare. Okay, because it's a monopoly, we go into a competitive market here. Okay, so that's and competitive market might sound like it's contradictory to charities, but no, it's not. We have competitive charities, competitive CDAs, competitive caseworkers. Who's going to do the best? The people doing a bad job, the ratings are going to show it very rapidly. People doing a great job, it's going to show it. Okay, assessors will coordinate benefits and from the charities that the CDAs fund. So you see all three different ones in here: assessor organizations, charities, and CDAs. There's going to be have to have a high level of respect. We don't want charities to fund people and give people benefits that that the AO said no on. If the AO says no, that no means no. If they don't want to go with that AO, they can go to another AO and see if they can do a better job. But AOs need to have respect that when they say no, they mean no on benefits. They don't want to be undermined. Now that's going to be hard to do. The rating system is going to come into play, but if an AO is disrespected by a charity, then that CDA is going to stop funding that charity. That CDA is going to stop. That person is going to be kicked out of the that charity system. They'll go to another AO, another charity, another CDA. They need to be respected, and there'll be ways to do that. The rating system will help in that. This system does not restrict religion from any part of the system. Everybody will always have a non-religion, a secular way of doing it. And that might only be 5-10% of the people. We don't know. We don't know until we actually do it. Competitive. But most people, I would say well over 75% of the people want religion included. Now, some people want religion included a lot, and some only very mildly included. They don't want it excluded. They want religious messages in there. They want a little bit of this, that, and they don't want big time religion taken over. And with a heavy hand, other people want that. There's a lot of variety there. Some people want it very Catholic based. Some people want it very Protestant based. Some people want it Jewish based. Some people want it a Muslim based. Some people want it a lot of different based. Competitiveness, very helpful. But 100% secular, the way we have it now, is probably something that less than 10% of the people in America want. And I mean 100% secular. Some people might want it 75% secular with a little bit of religion sprinkled in. But again, competitiveness, subjective determination. I think that's 400 times for subjective determination. The rating system, so important. And we went through this a little bit, but it's going to hold every aspect of the charity system accountable, giving high quality information and ratings. So people are going to be able to see that. One's association means one's trust. And that's going to be bringing funding in as well, more influence. What rating agency you pick is going to be bringing extra trust, extra influence, extra funding to your rating agency. It's going to be bringing more power and authority. Not that rating agencies have a lot of authority, but they have a lot of authorities to say we have bigger numbers, we have more funding, more people appreciate what we're doing and how we're rating. So, and that's going to matter on some rating floors. Rating floors are going to be done by percentages in the representative level. Okay, every RA will rate on the factors that they decide important and rate on those factors in a manner they decide. 500th time, subjective determination is so important in this one. Liberals and conservatives have a different way of looking at it. Other RAs will make their own decisions. Superior performance, represented by high ratings, will attract greater membership to highly rated CDAs. I said it before, good to say it again. The good is going to be shown. The poor is going to be shown. People are going to not want to be with the poor ones, poor ratings. They're going to want to go with the high ratings. It's going to bring standards up. Okay, increased membership results in the control of additional financial resources and labor hours. When you switch to CDAs, they're going to have that. They have control of that money. They have control of where that money is going to go and how that money is supposed to be spent. And that brings it extra influence. Very, very important. That's the competitive nature of this. So important. CDAs with poor ratings result in lower memberships, thus decreased control of money and labor hours. The best thing about free enterprise is when poor results lose the ability to control labor hours. A company that does not work well, are not productive, that puts out a poor product, we don't want that company putting out product and controlling labor hours. We want that money by consumer decision, two-party consumer decisions, all parties consumer decisions, it shifts over to the more productive in the business world. And this, the same way, we bring that major benefit of getting rid of people who control labor hours poorly. In the business world, it works, you get rid of it. People go bankrupt and they have to lay off their people, which is a great thing. Not that it's great that people get laid off, but they get laid off from the people who are controlling them poorly. The same thing with the charity system. People who do a poor job, unproductive, not very efficient, not very moral, not very nice, not very whatever you want to look at when it comes to charities. People who are not taking people out and making them interdependent. People who are not bringing people up. People who keep people in the system. We don't want poor results. We want good results. And people will be able to do that very easily by shifting their money. And that's going to matter. And it's going to have a big effects. Okay. Boy, it was out a rabbit trail, but that's a very good rabbit trail to go down. The rating systems will combine scores weighted by the percentage. The rating system is the representative body. All the RAs send people up to the rating system, and they're going to have a weighted vote. Weighted rating score. Everybody's going to have an app. They could be able to see and have a lot of good write-ups, but they're going to have an overall score. And I'm not going to get into it now. My video is already long enough. The charity economy is so important. Every charity CRA will set up its charity economy, and the charity sector board will set up a combined charity economy. The charity economy is not just one. That's a monopoly. We don't want that. We're going to have roughly 12 of them. Every CDA, not CDA, every charity CRA will set up its own charity economy. And then you'll have a group one at the representative level that everyone can combine and use for additional efficiencies and productivities. But you start off in yours and see how much you want to go up to the representative level. Hopefully a lot of people will go to the representative level to have greater productivity and efficiencies and working across the board more. But you start off with yours. And only when you want to go up to the representative level can you. It's important that you do some. How much will depend on a lot of different issues. 643rd time I say the word, subjective determination. Okay, everyone in the charity economy by being associated with his or her charity CRA. So everybody has to pick a charity economy, whether you're rich or poor, middle class, whether you use it or not, you're associated with one. This is very important for representative purposes. You vote for your membership, you vote with your membership for your leadership of your charity economy. That's it. Well, that's within the CRA, the charity CRAs, the charity economy. So everybody's associated with one. Very important for just checks and balance issues, for the proper governance, for the proper hierarchy of what we're doing, the separation of powers and the like. Okay. You might not have a lot to do with it. It might just be a little bit of funding off to the side that goes into that, and you don't pay attention to it. That's fine too. And we want most people not to. They want the most people in their productive job in the regular economy. But if you feel like doing it, you can. Okay, well over an hour here now, I see. Any person not asking for help through the CDA can work and receive benefits at their own will by being a net giver by 10%. So we talked about this. I didn't talk about the extra 10%, but we want, and the extra 10% is just so people don't game the system a little bit. It's a checks and balance issue. But without having to go through a lot of assessor organizations, looking at your finance, looking at your life, looking at this, making requirements about not being this or not being that in a destructive lifestyle. If you don't want all that, people looking into your life, you can give as many hours and as much benefits into the system as you're getting out, plus the 10%. Okay. Net givers do not require assessments from AOs. Let's talk about that. Assessors can require work in the charity economy for those assigned to them through the CDA. Prices. What's the prices? How they're going to do that? I don't know. It's that for every charity economy to work with. Now we go with competitive money. You can look at my monetary policy. And monetary policy, this financial sectors, a financial portfolio for currency portfolios might have, and probably will have, assets from the charity economy. It's a lot to get into. I know we're merging two big ideas. Yes, I do. Yes, they might. Again, this is the full structure, two-sided agreements on everything. We're going to have a lot of buy-off on and how it's going to work, a lot of experimentation. You don't get experimentation from monopoly, you get experimentation from having competitive nature of the system. Okay, let's just keep on going. But prices will be in it. So somebody that does not have a lot of ability to provide a lot of worth, their labor hours in the charity economy will be valued at one price. A doctor and a lawyer is going to be much higher. Just like it is in the regular economy, it's not going to be as much as a regular economy probably. Again, not my decision, their decision. But doctors are not going to try to get rich within the charity economy. They're going to give, but they're going to expect maybe somebody to cut their grass, somebody to do maid service. How many different things that can people do for the doctor to have the doctor not having to worry about cleaning his own house, doing their own landscaping, but we want the doctor and the nurses to go over to the free clinic, or maybe not even have the free clinic, but within their own doctor's office to see patients that are uncompensated. Their compensation is having their house cleaned, and we did that way back hundreds of years ago, where people gave chickens and bread and different services and fixing somebody's fence, the doctor's fence. We did all that many years ago. I know it's not the most productive way of doing it, but the charity economy can make that happen and be more efficient and account for everything. People will be encouraged to offer their skills and post-job opportunities. There's a lot of things that people currently do that have high skills in. They're going to be encouraged to offer those skills into the charity economy. If you're really good at fixing up a house, there's a lot of poor people who need their houses fixed up. Simple as that. That's part of the charity economy. People may donate their required 5% of their income by working through the charity economy. So we talked about that already. Companies will be encouraged to utilize their infrastructure for the greatest efficiency within the charity economy. Companies, businesses are very efficient at using their equipment, their warehouses, their factories, their whatever their company is, their trucks. They're very efficient at doing that. Can we utilize that same efficiency and productivity through the charity economy in a very productive way? I know some companies out there, they send some of their high-level people out there to go work on Habitat for Humanity's house, where they don't have a skill in hammering a nail, framing a house, doing anything. They're out there picking up trash or whatever, doing low-skill stuff. That's really silly. These people are high quality. They can use their skill as an executive to help organize a charity. They can use their skill to do a lot of different things. They can use their skill to integrate a lot of low quality. I say low quality as it's bad. No, it's not bad. Low quality work from people with disability. I say low quality. It's high quality people, but their productivity is not high right now. Their executive experience can take what they can do, what these people can do, and make it the most productive. Okay, let's keep on going because, again, subjective determination, ratings, there's going to be highly integrated. Some companies will highly integrate the charity economy within their own business. The rating systems will root out fraud and self-dealing and just a lot of different things. I know because we're going into the free enterprise system and free private businesses, people are going to say, oh, there's going to be fraud. We need to separate. No, we don't. The rating system can take care of it. There's going to be a lot of ways to do accountability. We want them to integrate. We want them to intermix. Highly important. Okay. All organizations will be dynamic business charity models. Again, just what I was just saying. Seeking the best ratings by taking care of the most unmet needs. Highly important that you just try to have that understanding of what people can do if they're allowed to think on their own. How can I serve this unmet need and get accounted for within the charity economy? Very, very important. And the charity economies want to be the most productive. They want that highest rating on productivity and efficiency and anti-fraud. They want that high rating that people are going to shift their money and trust and responsibilities and everything over to the ones with better ratings. So there's going to be a competition for that. People can build capital in the charity economy. Build capital means for your retirement. Let's say you put in an extra 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours in over a lifetime, from when you're 13 years old to when you're 65 years old. You put in an extra, let's say 2,000 or 3,000. It's not a lot per year, really. And then when you're elderly, when you're 70, 75, 80, you can have somebody from the charity economy come over and cut your grass, maid service and the like. I mean, whatever personal care that you need when you're elderly, keep you in your own house, work at a nursing home, whatever the case may be. You can build capital up in that. And the monetary system is going to be able to work with that. Okay. Again, the 5 sectors, just for a refresher, you have those 5. The charity sector, it is funded by 5% of people's income. We went over that with the $1 trillion goal across all of the nation. That's federal, state, and local, altogether roughly 5% of GDP. Okay, it'd be competitive to provide. There's competition that's going to be very good. The charities need to be productive and efficient. They need to create the charity economy, and they need to be able to put people to work quickly. The day after somebody loses their jobs, they should be able to call, and within an hour, somebody can be picking them up, or they can drive to a work site and immediately be put to work. If you're a lawyer and you get laid off work, you're immediately, how much work can the charity economy utilize a lawyer for? A lot. They can even create a whole simple company that's going to help a lot of the poor and have people just come in there and use labor hours. Highly important. Okay, the charity economy, this is part of my 3-minute introduction series for my bullet points. So this can really help with disaster relief. A hurricane come through, and instead of government coming in and just doing everything, the CRAs will have a plan. All businesses will be part of the CRA. Who's the most productive at doing disaster relief? Who's the best at bringing plywood and needed material and food and water into the affected areas? Getting affected people out to more safe places with more provisions, and bringing provisions in. There's a lot to do. Who's the best at it? They'll directly help the poor. They will serve doctors and others within the charity economy. They'll put people to work quickly. And I talked about how people will serve the doctors so the doctors can serve the poor. It's an economy. That's what an economy is. You put money in one place, get services out from another place. Every company will use its assets. We talked about that. Economy means transfer of services. We just talked about that from different places. So it's not always, if I trade with my neighbor, I don't just get services from my neighbor. My neighbor gives services to somebody else. They give services to somebody else, and that somebody else gives services to me. But when you have millions of people, really 8 billion people across the world, I mean, we're all in one economy if you want to really look at it truthfully. I mean, you can exclude some people who are in such bad economic straits that they can't really go into the world market, North Korea and the like. Okay. Oh, very important. The charity economy will play such a big role in financial instruments, insurance and loans and stuff. You can't pay back a mortgage. You can't pay back a car payment. You're immediately put into that charity economy, and the charity economy will pay your mortgage. They'll pay your car payments. You're going to have to give the labor hours into the charity economy, but they're going to make sure of that. And that's going to be part of the terms. When you write a contract for the insurance, when you write a contract for the loans, you immediately get put in there. There's a lot of ways to do the terms. You don't have to do it that way. You can build insurance into it. You can build a lot of different things. But this is one way you can do terms that allows more loans to go out, more insurances to be issued, because the charity economy is there that can give somebody quick work. Work within an hour or two. Somebody's picking you up. Here's a work site you can go to. Okay. Volunteer hour plan. Let's go over this a little bit. Responsibility start at age 13. You can do that in lieu of money. You have a minimum payment, minimum contribution to the charity economy. I said $1,500. That's not set in stone. That's not part of what I have to set. But roughly that is where we need to be. We want everybody contributing to helping the poor, even the poor. Now, if you're getting benefits, you can apply to the full charity economy, and there's a system to have you not pay money into it because you're on very hard times right now. But again, I think 689th time, subjective determination. Okay, everything can be accounted for within the charity economy. We count for that. The ratings account for it. There's a lot of ways to account for it. There's a lot, and when you have competition, you have a lot of different ways to account for it. Build up retirement hours, or hours in the economy for retirement. We talked about that. 3-minute introduction to the Charity Distribution Association. Okay, you have a 5% mandate to give, 5% of your income to give. Businesses and citizens, businesses are going to have to give too. It's not going to just be coming from individuals. So businesses are going to be taking probably half the burden on this. So you don't just have, what is $1 trillion? That's like $10,000 per household in America. So it's a lot of money. Businesses are going to probably take half that burden. Yes, income tax type of issue, sales tax might be included in some for businesses and the like. Okay, be a dozen different philosophies of how to give. Funding charities. Okay. A dozen different philosophies of how to fund charities and what philosophies you want to use. I'm going to try to finish up. Only 8 more slides, I believe. Okay, 5% mandated contributions. Okay, we did all that. Charity markets. Charities market is charities to a dozen CDAs. Right now, we have charities market their charity to the general public. Very hard for the general public to know which charities are doing the best. A good advertisement blitz might get a lot of donations in saying, hey, we're here to help the kids with healthcare, the St. Jude and the like. The March for Dimes and different charities are really good at advertising. We're going to get rid of a lot of that. Not that it's going to be totally gotten rid of, but you're going to be able to go to 12 different CDAs. And the CDAs are going to be professional people with very high level of knowledge and concentration on what charities are doing the most good. Salvation Army, I believe, has a slogan, doing the most good. So we're going to have people specialize in this focus, laser focus on what charities are doing the most good within their philosophy of hope and the poor. Charities market to the experts. That's what I'm talking about. So you go to 12 different people, 12 different groups, and market your services, your charity services. If you're not very productive, you're not very efficient, you're not doing it in a very good way, the CDA should not fund you. If you're doing a great job, they should fund you. It's very hard to do that for the general public because the general public, they see something that sounds good. Maybe they get a rating of how many hours goes to administrative, which is a very poor way of doing it, by the way. It's one way of doing it, but it's a very poor way of doing it. That's not a very good subjective determination way of doing it. I think that's 895th time I said subjective determination. Okay, all areas of need covered. We talked about that. Medical, housing, food, clothing, anything that, education, anything that might need it, transportation. Okay, let's keep on going. Accessible organizations, there'll be the caseworkers, they have wisdom and life coach, they dig deep when they need to, when they don't need to, they don't. Family life, they dig deep into these areas. They make sure people are not trapped in the system, and they also make sure people aren't enabled in their destructive lifestyle. And what I mean by that is just, you're doing drugs. Get off drugs. You're being lazy. You're playing video games all day. Let's get out here and work. We don't want to enable that. Okay. And there's going to be a lot of different philosophies on that. There's some people probably just hate that idea right there. They can donate to a CDA that donates to charities and AOs that don't worry about somebody's lifestyle. That's fine. I don't want to necessarily go into somebody's lifestyle unless it's destructive. But that's my personal preference. I'm going to go with a AO and a CDA and a charities that really look at somebody's lifestyle, not so much as the non-moral things, but the moral things, the destructive things, the taking drugs and the laziness and the like. But everybody has a different philosophy. That's why it's competitive. I use my own subjective determination. 948th time I said that now. But they can require education, apprenticeships, and the like. And competition is going to play a major role in that. Family law these are the issues that family law takes care of, but how important is it going to be that this is going to be integrated into the charity system? I'm not going to go through all that. Okay, religion sector, I'm not going to go into that. That's just people. It can go. Some people are going to choose that goes into it a lot. Other people are not going to go into it a lot. Everybody has a different philosophy of that. Some people want to go into a very secular and a very strict secular method. They can do that. Again, competition and subjective determination. Okay, the freedom of about a dozen CRAs. One of my last slides here. This is how I like to end off any of my videos. The freedom of about a dozen CRAs in a dozen full systems to experiment will yield great results. That's free enterprise. That is having people having freedom and liberty. But we have a governance system. We have a system where we have responsibilities and authorities and powers. We have a rating system. We have people that can do certain things. And only a very small number of things goes up to the representative level. We have some. Some are necessary. There's going to be some that people want to go up to the rating system. There's going to be some that are mandated to go to the rating system, and then some at the rating system that's going to be useful that some CRA is going to use. There's a lot to get into on that. A 994th time I say it, subjective determination. Okay, everything's so easy to find on my website. There's a lot more on my website about a lot of this. Please consider a donation to the site, and until the next video, thanks. Until the next video.